Hello. It is such an honor to have you here. What is your name?
Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Fowler. I'm a local physician.
What was your position in the military?
Okay, well, thank you for asking, and I'm really excited to be part of this Eagle Scout program. Thank you all for joining in and helping Jackson here. I had the great honor and privilege of being a physician in the military, and I've actually been on the White House. I've been on the medical staff at Walter Reed, taking care of our wounded warriors for the last 2 decades. Okay,
Great.
My military service started out. Actually, I joined when I was in my medical residency. I joined the Virginia Army National Guard. I was assigned to a field artillery unit. And that's why sometimes I can't hear too good from the guns. And I spent over 20 years in the reserves. And then I had been retired for 15 years. And that's when all the fun started. Okay? And you guys all remember the COVID pandemic, okay? Well, there's a little side story, very interesting, okay? So I've been retired, my uniform was put away. And I'd been working as a civilian at Walter Reed. By the way, I did make a bad turn in the road and while I was in the military, I went off to law school and also got my law degree. Okay?
Great.
So during the pandemic, I'm going to tell you this very good story. So they were very short on physicians. And due to the border invasion down on the Mexican border, the Public Health Service was not able to fulfill its role, so they were calling active duty Army physicians to help with the border invasion. Okay? So they needed backfill physicians. So I got a call from Army headquarters saying, "You are now back on active duty." And I'm 66 right now. This was 2 years ago. So during COVID, I had to backfill. I was recalled. I had 48 hours. When I first got the call, my wife says, "They'll never call you back. You're too old." Well, I ended up back on active duty, and I got promoted to the rank of oldest person in the Army. Okay? At 65. All right? That was actually, I was assigned down at Fort Rucker. The other physician died during COVID. I had to take care of close to 50, 60 patients a day. We had limited resources. I was the only physician we had down there, and I was down there for 9 months. So I've just got released back to regular duties. So that's my story of my military experience. But it took a big turn in the last 2 years.
All right. So, when did you serve?
Okay. So I originally started in 1980, and then I just got recalled back to active duty 2 years ago.
So,
and then just got released.
So, 2022.
Yeah, correct.
All right. So, where were some of the places that you served?
Well, I've had, like I said, my first 20 years was mainly reserve duty. And during that time, I was assigned to Unit Walter Reed, where I also served as a GS civilian. So at that time, I had to go.
Yeah, where was...
Washington, D.C., Walter Reed, Washington, D.C., okay? And so at that time, I had the opportunity of serving in the Wounded Warrior Brigade. I started the 1st Wounded Warrior Brigade, which now serves the foundation for our soldier recovery units, okay?
All right. Well, what made you interested in joining the American Legion?
You just interviewed Martin Predahl, and I was at church with him one morning, and he says, "Paul, you ought to join the American Legion." I said, "I don't have time for that." Okay, I'm a busy physician. I'm also very involved in a lot of trials as a lawyer. I defend the United States right now. I'm actually the Chief Risk Officer for the United States Public Health Service. So I didn't have time. He says, "Martin, come on." He said, Martin Predahl, he said, "Come on over and join us." And I joined up, and they got me hooked up right away in different positions. Then they asked me to be the post commander. and I'm the immediate post commander. After I returned from active duty, I had actually been elected post commander, then I got recalled to active duty. After I got called back and was discharged from active duty, the American Legion asked me to serve as their region vice commander. All right. And then last year I was promoted to and elected to department office, where I serve as the judge advocate or the general counsel for over 120 different posts in the Department of Maryland, American Legion.
All right. What is your role as judge advocate for the American Legion?
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, we have our local post here, which the most thing I'm proud of from our post is our sponsorship of Troop 68, okay? 268. My son would not be an Eagle Scout today. You won't be an Eagle Scout here in a few months if it wasn't for the American Legion Post 68, okay? So 264 would not be in existence if it wasn't for the American Legion, and that is what I'm most proud of, gentlemen, okay? From our Legion post. I think I didn't answer the question directly, did I?
What's your role as the judge advocate?
Oh, the role of judge advocate. Okay. So we have our post, and then that's divided into districts. So and then regions. So we have 30 different posts that serve in a region, and then there's 4 different regions, okay? I wear a white hat. If you know Martin, the other ones wear blue hat, okay? That's post level. So when you're a department officer, you wear a white hat, and then if you're national office, you wear a red hat, okay? So as department judge advocate, I advise them in all legal matters. I serve as general legal counsel for the Department of Maryland. So if any of the people, the commanders at the post, have legal issues, there may be discipline of members, they would be consulting with me in which would be the best parliamentary and procedural way to proceed in line with the laws and the bylaws of the American Legion.
All right, then. What is some of your favorite things that you've done with the Legion?
Wow, that is, like I said, we're involved in many activities. I think my favorite activity is, I'm going to tell you a little story on this. On that. When I was working at Walter Reed, as a physician, the Surgeon General came over and talked to me one day, and he says, we had all these wounded warriors from the Gulf War. Do you know what IEDs are? All right? There was those, they'd step on linemans over in Afghanistan and Gulf War. All right. And we would come and we'd have at least 20 soldiers who had been shipped from Landstuhl, where they would amputate them. We would pick them up. They would be arriving from Andrews, and they would pick them up at Walter Reed. Okay. And then we'd immediately take them into surgery. We had all these soldiers sitting around. So they asked me one day, the Surgeon General came up to me and said, Paul, will you take over all these wounded soldiers? And so what we did was, I was involved in forming the first integrated disability evaluation system, where we joined. Many of these soldiers faced tremendous bureaucratic problems, okay, coming out, and they didn't know where they were going to go. So at that time, I knew nothing about the disability system, okay? And I'm going to get into your question here of what's my favorite activity. And I learned the whole disability system for the military. And that allowed me, and sometimes the Lord will place you in your life, guys, in places we say, why am I doing this job, or why am I moving? Well, the Lord acts in mysterious ways. He allowed me at that opportunity to learn this, so now I'm able to advocate for many soldiers. I do pro bono work for many of our disabled veterans, and I help them for the Board of Veterans Appeals and I help them with their disability compensation claims. So if it wouldn't have been for that change in that, I wouldn't have been able to help them in this
Right.
situation.
All right, then. What would you tell somebody who may be interested in joining Norman Price Post 68?
Three things. If you want to have fun, more fun, the best fun in your life, join the Post 68. Okay, we do a lot of fun. We're a great group of guys. And, you know, we don't have a post home. All right, many of our posts have a post home. You guys want the place to meet. You know, you rent a place. Well, I believe not having a post home is actually a best advantage for us because we're able to devote our time and energy towards community service. We're able to support the Scout Troop. We're able to support the Sherwood High School with our scholarship program. We're able, instead of internally, we're able to do externally and support our community. And that's what I get excited about. We support our veterans and the youth. The youth are our future. You guys sitting right here interviewing me today are our future. And that's one of the pillars of the American Legion. And that's what I get excited. And that's why we have a lot of fun when we support in the community.
All right, then. Is there just any quote or anything that you'd like to share? Just anything in general?
Yeah, let me tell you one little story, okay? All right, or am I taking up too much time? Huh?
No, you're fine.
Okay, so let me tell you a story. So, like I said, I served at Walter Reed for over 2 decades as a physician. So, I remember when the president would come over and they would give Purple Hearts, okay, on the soldiers, all right, and they'd have ceremony, and these guys have lost their legs. All right. So we had a brief ceremony in one of our hospital wards, and these were our Gulf War veterans. Okay. So the news photographers, just as you were, they were taking pictures of all the guys. Okay. And one of our soldiers had just been awarded the Purple Heart. All right. And they had other decorations. So I remember there was this one Ranger. All right. And he was wearing his new Purple Heart and his combat infantry badge on his pajamas. All right. And the photographers were getting ready to take his picture, and he says, wait a minute. And he took out of his pocket and he pulled out a small American flag. And then this young Ranger, he put that flag above his personal decorations. And then he said, okay, now you can take my picture because the flag, not my personal decorations, is what I'm most proud of. Okay. So, you know, each time our nation has called our citizens to serve, they've picked the best and the brightest. And I'm very proud of the American Legion to continue to serve our veterans in the community.
All right, then. Anything else you'd like to add on?
What you just talked about, like in that last sentence there, the American Legion still helps them continue to serve, and I just wanted to ask you just more upfront, like how do you feel your role in the American Legion is a continuation of your service to your country and community?
Right. I American Legion we have this year. I also serve on the in National Security Council. Okay, and we have a big project this year called Be the One. All right, and what does that mean? Well, every day, 1 or 2 of our soldiers returning have to face the difficulties of life as a civilian. They have many injuries, even today, and there's a tremendous rate of suicide, okay? Many of them suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and the American Legion has launched a national campaign to be the one. Be the one who you should be there, like if you guys are at school and you have someone who's not feeling good, you're there to listen to him, right? To help your friend out, okay? So be the one when a veteran is struggling. That's what the American Legion is there for then. We're the largest veteran organization. We're made up of that. The camaraderie is great, but we want to be the one to be there and to be available for our fellow veterans in time of need and time of crisis.
All right, then.